I just stayed at 8 of the most popular all-inclusive resorts in Cabo, and in this video, I'm ranking all of them from worst to first. And unlike every other top 5, top 10, top whatever travel video on YouTube, I actually stayed at these places. Each one for a minimum of 3 nights. All the footage is mine, and I did everything. From the pools, to the restaurants, to the bars, to the nightlife, to the beaches. And in this video, I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes. So let's dive right into it. Number 8 is Sandos Finisterre. This is one of the original marquee properties in Cabo. In fact, it was so iconic back in the day. This is where Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones had his wedding back in 1983. At the very apex of the property, at the very top, is this really cool coffee cupcake shop that's literally carved into the side of the cliff. And if you make your way towards the back, you can see some of his wedding photos, as well as some other really cool nostalgia about the property. As cool as the coffee shop is, I think stepping outside is even better. You have panoramic views of the entire city. They're probably the best views of Cabo, the city itself. They're sweeping, they're essentially 360, and they are gorgeous during both the day and the night. So again, these are just the Cliff Notes. If you're looking for the full detailed videos, check the description below. I'm just gonna list off a few positives and negatives for each property. The positives for Sandos is that its location is awesome. It's one of the few hotels that's actually located in the city. That's harder to find than you'd think. So it's in the city, which means basically everything is at your disposal. You can walk anywhere. And the marina, the most popular spot, is just across the street. Another positive is that it's affordable. It's one of the cheapest all-inclusive resorts in Cabo. In fact, if you wanted to stay in the city at just like a motel, like a Holiday Inn or something like that, you'd pay more money for doing that, and you wouldn't get the location and the food and drinks that are included at Sandos. The food and the drinks are actually a lot better than they should be for the price. They're fairly decent. And a couple of the restaurants are really modern, and they offer gorgeous sweeping views of Cabo, and they have a sense of class and sophistication to them. I just booked one of the cheapest rooms, and I was shocked by the generous dimensions as well as the amenities. As far as negatives, the hotel is indeed old. Some of the areas I don't think have been updated since it was built 40 years ago, and the layout is disjointed and awkward. You'll see this again in my video. It seems to be common with some of the properties in the city. Half of the hotel is on one side of the cliff, and then the other half is on the other. Of course, there are elevators and walkways, which makes things really easy. And if you're adventurous, you can actually walk up the cliffs via steps, which I actually really enjoyed. But just to get to a restaurant or the pool, there are multiple elevators, changes in elevation, and just lots of meandering walks. I don't have too many bad things to say about Sandos. It's pretty straightforward. You get what you pay for and then some. It's an affordable all-ages hotel in essentially the perfect location in Cabo. It's a victim of circumstance. This list is really competitive. It comes in at number 8. Number 7 is Riu Palace Cabo San Lucas. This is not the only Riu on the list, and that should not be shocking because when it comes to the all-inclusive resort game, Riu dominates in terms of popularity. So this is a palace property, which is at the top of Riu's product portfolio. It's their most luxurious offering, if you want to call it that. When you stay at a palace, you'll find bigger rooms, enhanced amenities, better food typically. Usually palaces are better than the standard Rius, usually. A little foreshadowing there, I'll touch on that in a bit. Before I get to the positives and negatives for Riu Palace Cabo San Lucas, I just want to highlight the positives of staying at this Riu complex. There are 3 properties here, and the location is outstanding. It's just on the outskirts of Cabo. You're not in the madness, but the madness is very accessible. The heart of the action is just a few minutes away, a cheap cab ride, or you can actually walk it if you're feeling adventurous. And besides being just on the outskirts of Cabo, it's right across from the magnificent Cabo Bay, arguably the most iconic view in Cabo San Lucas. Rius in general are always fun, energetic, upbeat, lively, affordable, and usually deliver tremendous value. So in terms of this property specifically, Riu Palace Cabo San Lucas, it is a family hotel. It's all ages, and its decor is unique. It's got like a Southwest steampunk type of vibe. It's eclectic for sure. It has a purple haze type of motif, crazy lighting, Art Deco sculptures, and a Louvre-like glass pyramid in the lobby. After staying here, most people typically regard the pools as the best feature of the property. There are 4 of them. Everyone has an infinity edge and is steps away from the sand. General pools have luxurious cascading waterfalls and a design that seemingly stretches all the way into the water. And the two adult-only pools are a great reprieve for the mature crowd that just might happen to be staying at this property. I think the most drastically and disrespectfully overlooked part of this property is the beach club. I feel at any other resort in any other location, this would be the prime spot at a resort. The tall palms keep the area nice, cool, and private. There are upgradable cabanas where you can sit in all day and enjoy the Cabo sights and sounds. There's a bar in the back in case you get thirsty, and the entire area is exclusively roped off from the public, which means no harassment from anyone on the other side of the ropes. Even though they aren't located right on property, you do have access to the sports bar, the discotheque, and the Riu parties, which are next door at the neighboring Riu Santa Fe. Those 4 crazy parties a week alone are worth the price of admission to this Riu. As far as the negatives, it's old. It's really old. It's in dire need of some TLC and a modernization. I think that is coming sooner than later, but nonetheless, in its current state, it's pretty pitiful. Also, there's zero nightlife, nada. There is a lobby bar with panoramic views of Cabo that's open till midnight, but for a Riu overall, the evenings are boring. Also, Riu Palace Cabo San Lucas has an identity problem. I call it middle child syndrome. It is fighting for attention. It's stuck in the middle between 2 Titan Riu properties, and it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. The cheaper Riu Santa Fe is way more energetic and fun with a litany of options. And then the other palace property, Baja California, is adults only. Maybe the hypothetical remodel will make a compelling reason to stay there, but as of right now, it is just lost. It's cannibalized by the 2 other properties, and that's why it comes in at number 7. This one is a shocker. Number 6 is Breathless. I'm still waiting for that Breathless property that leaves me speechless. Haven't found it yet. I'm not going to stop trying. This one is not what it seems. I just made a booking last night on the Hyatt website, and I just happened to glance down at their portfolio. I was flabbergasted. They have Breathless positioned above. They have it ranked as more luxurious than Secrets, Hyatt Zilara, Hyatt Ziva, and Dreams. That's how Hyatt sees things, and I don't think they're seeing things very clearly. For anybody not familiar with the Breathless brand, it is an adults-only property that's geared towards kind of the edgier, chic, more upscale, a little bit younger, on-trend adult person who is looking for a bit more fun out of their all-inclusive resort. Think Royalton chic with an uptick in refinement, but also a bit more relaxed. Positives, adults only, that's always a huge plus for me. Arguably, very arguably, the best location in Cabo. I'll talk about that later, but it's in the marina. So if you want to be in the heart of the Cabo action, you're automatically right there when you stay at Breathless. There's almost unlimited options for dining, drinking, shopping, nightlife, entertainment, adventure, and activities. The beach is another standout of this property. It's one of the few Cabo beaches, especially at a resort, where you can get into the water. It's a long story. You'll have to take a look at my other videos, but basically you can't get in the water in most of the locations in Cabo because of the riptides, strong currents, and huge waves, but you can at Breathless, which is great because it's a lovely part of the Pacific to enjoy. And lastly, it's different. It's definitely different. There are intimate pop-up shows. There are multiple pools, each one with an infinity edge. They are gorgeous. And there is style. Interesting style, but style nonetheless. The hotel will definitely leave an impression as far as aesthetics. When it comes to negatives, location. It's actually terrible. Now, I know it's in the heart of the action at the marina, right in Cabo San Lucas, but you do not want to stay here. Noise pollution would be an understatement. Seals are barking at 4 a.m. All of the fishing vessels go out at dawn. They come back at dusk. And when you don't hear those, you are hearing the party boats come in and out incessantly. The constant screaming, whether from the seals or the people and the blaring horns, actually made me look at Sando's Finisterre a lot more fondly. And although you can actually get into the water, which is awesome, the beach itself is extremely crowded. The beaches are open to the public. You can't just kind of rope them off. Everyone has access to them. But this location is so accessible. It's so easy to get to that the public swarms it. The exclusivity and privacy at the beach, which you typically find at a brand like Breathless, was nowhere to be found here. And like Sandos, the property is disjointed. There are two separate areas, but they're not even connected, which makes it even more annoying. Just say you want to go to the beach, a restaurant, a gym, the pool. Here's what that would look like. You get out of your room, you go elevator, lobby, walk outside, key card into the other lobby, elevator, and then sometimes another elevator and some stairs. Now, these are entirely first world problems, but at this price, I don't want any problems at all. And lastly, it was a boring property, basically all over. There was really no energy, no life. The crowd wasn't very fun. Experiences and crowds absolutely differ from week to week, so yours might be different, but mine was quiet, like a monastery. As I said at the start, I'm going to continue to try the Breathless brand. I have hope that that awesome Breathless awaits. It's just not this one. Cabo Breathless comes in at number 6. Number 5 is Riu Santa Fe, the #1 most popular all-inclusive resort in Cabo. In terms of acreage and infrastructure, it is easily the largest Riu I've ever encountered in my life up until this point. Also, I want to note it is the cheapest all-inclusive in Cabo, which means the value that you typically find at a Riu is amplified here even more. So I talked about the overall benefits of staying at the Riu complex, the location, the views, the affordability. But in terms of the positives of Riu Santa Fe, number 1 would be its dexterity. It's designed for all ages, literally from 8 to 80. The misnomer about this property is that it's a huge family resort. And the one thing that's wrong with that statement is that it's not just a family resort, even though it's all ages. An adult crowd could go there and easily find a ton of fun stuff to do that's geared directly for them. There are multiple adult-only pools, a nightclub, a sports bar, and 4 insane Riu parties each week. And for the families, there are basically countless pools, wholesome activities, evening events, and fun stuff to do everywhere. Another positive is that this is the staple property of the complex. Now, the 2 other palaces might have more prestige and glitz, but this is the core property. The heart of the action and all of the most important stuff is at Riu Santa Fe. The sports bar, the nightclub, the Riu parties, all of that is on site. And lastly, the remodel has revitalized this property. It's basically an entirely different animal for what it was. It went from forgettable to formidable, especially the rooms. They're on trend, they're crisp, they're clean, and the overall style is very warm and welcoming. As far as negatives, it's massive. It's almost 3 properties in one. I walked for a mile one time and I thought I was at a different property. Nope, still Riu Santa Fe. The water park indeed is hidden in plain sight. That's what a behemoth this place is. It's just unthinkably gargantuan, and because of that, the layout really suffers. There are room locations and buildings that if you get assigned to, they are instantly going to take a chainsaw to your vacation and end it quickly. If you want all the specifics on that, which ones to stay in, which ones to stay out of, check the description below. I got my full video link down there. So that's basically it. Riu Santa Fe is a solid property. After the remodel, this place is nice, especially considering the cost. I mean, personally, I guess I wish there were more high-end evening dining options like Culinarium, but at a place where an individual can stay for around $100 a night, there's no complaining allowed. Riu Santa Fe comes in at number 5. All right, I'm gonna get this one over with. I am still shocked. You better be ready for this. Garza Blanca comes in at number 4. This is the #1 overall all-inclusive resort in Cabo. I got it at number 4 just out of these 8 properties. You know, this hotel brand basically came out of nowhere and instantly just established the highest esteem in not only Cabo, but Puerto Vallarta and Cancun as well. My initial impression was fantastic. I got out of my cab and was met by the friendliest and warmest staff members. Cold towel in one hand, champagne in the other. I love the really classy, ultra-fluted design. They actually insisted that I have 2. That was awesome. I was smiling ear to ear. I got to the lobby and I saw some things that immediately caught my attention in the worst way possible. This place is bipolar. But where it excels, it's in a league of its own. It's in its own strata. So I'm going to talk about those areas right now. One of those is luxury. Even the best all-inclusive resorts at times feel watered down, and that's because they're underneath the all-inclusive umbrella. But Garza Blanca can't hide under that proverbial all-inclusive umbrella because it's not a traditional all-inclusive. It's an optional all-inclusive, and some people staying there opt not to take part in it. So because it just can't hide for cover underneath the all-inclusive umbrella, it has to deliver value and luxury on its own. So there are no shortcuts, no cheating. It is a bona fide 5-star property. If you didn't know where you were or what brand this was, if you walked around the property, you would think you're at an elite hotel. Garza Blanca is more luxurious than some of Marriott's best brands. The rooms were fantastic. Spacious, stylish, swanky, sophisticated. There were some things in there I've never seen before at an all-inclusive resort. One of those was the embossed faux alligator minibar that had a complete stock of plateware, glassware, silverware. And not only did it have elite minibar products, the 3 best cervezas in my opinion, but snacks as well. Even better than that was the bathroom. It's absolutely the star of the show. There's a Japanese soaking tub. There is a gorgeous illuminated mirror which stretches the entire length of that wall. And then when you step inside the water closet, there is a Japanese toilet. Now you might think that this is a parlor trick or a gimmick. It is not. These upscale ones, these expensive ones, these modern ones, it will completely change your perception of the bathroom experience. I've mentioned it in the past. Already in this video, I'll mention it again in a future sometime. You cannot go in the water at the majority of locations in Cabo, especially at the overwhelming majority of resorts. But you can at Garza Blanca. Now the water isn't as placid as what it was at Breathless, but still you can get in the water. And it is the most beautiful water I've ever seen in Cabo. It actually looks more Cancun than it does Cabo. It's a crazy, unimaginable view of the Pacific. Even better than the awesome rooms and the gorgeous views were the food and the drinks. This is where it really shines. Garza Blanca shouldn't even be mentioned in the same sentence as other leading all-inclusive resorts. They are on a next level down, maybe even 2 tiers down. I'm talking secrets, I'm talking excellence. Those brands dream about being Garza Blanca. The food and drinks are just incredible. My sushi dinner was better than any meal I've ever had at Nobu in my life. The quality, the presentation, the experience was unbelievable. And the food stayed that way consistently pretty much throughout my entire stay. The drinks were insane. They might be some of the best drinks in Cabo, and I'm talking anywhere. Mixology is a term that's kind of diluted now. It gets thrown out a lot. But Garza Blanca uses that term very seriously. There are different mixology menus everywhere, and they are proper and real menus. They have everything from smoked cocktails, egg white drinks, and some drinks that are so beautiful, they belong in a museum. So it sounds amazing. It looks amazing. Everything there tastes delicious. Why do I have it at number 4? Well, when it misses huge. In fact, it misses so hard, it seems like it doesn't even pick up the bat to swing at times. And I think a perfect example of that would be like the activities and the nightlife. And I'm not talking about the property being dead at 10 p.m. every night over a weekend, which it was. I'm talking about the actual lack of activities and evening entertainment. No shows, nothing to get the crowd engaged, excited, or intermingled with the property. The pools overall, the general pools, are beautiful from afar, but far from beautiful. When you get up close, it's really just little rectangular mini pools that are stepped down all the way to the beach. From a distance, it looks like a grand space and an amazing foyer into the natural beauty and watery areas of Cabo. But when you get up close, you realize that they're like little luxury kiddie pools with no room at all. It's awkward, it's cramped, it's extremely disappointing for a property like this. And this right here is what kills it for most people after they experience or find out about this, is that it's a family hotel. I mean family hotel, I mean families with small children could be mistaken as a preschool hotel. And to make matters worse, those that have upgraded or at least selected the adult-only option, it's irrelevant, it's pointless because there's no experience. It's intermingled with the rest of the property. No separate building for the adult-only rooms. It's the identical restaurants, same lobby, same check-in, basically same experience. Now there is one caveat, one outlier, one silver lining, and that is the rooftop infinity pool area, which is adult only. And this is the best portion of the property. The daytime restaurant up there is one of the best places to eat overall. It basically has an unlimited menu with some of the most delicious items you can think of. And it's great to have at least one spot on property where you can enjoy that, the views of Cabo, with a like-minded adult-forward crowd. But as good as it still does not justify opting for the adult-only experience or even staying at Garza Blanca altogether. And then lastly would be the value. There's none. The price is high, it's arguably justified, but there's no value. Remember, value is what you get for what you pay. And you are basically being charged for every scrap, every iota, every morsel, every nugget of luxury and great service that you encounter. Garza Blanca ensures that you pay for it. I could go on. There are other annoying things like a 4 p.m. check-in an hour late, an 11 a.m. check-out an hour early. You have to pay for internet, which is a cardinal sin. In fact, it's insulting. The experience didn't come together. It wasn't remotely close to what I was expecting. I will be trying the other Garza Blanca properties, but this one is one and done. It comes in at number 4. Number 3 is Hyatt Ziva. It was never a question about this being a top resort in Cabo, just where it would eventually fall on the list. Hyatt Ziva, the family version, and then Zilara, the adult-only version, are some of the most respected all-inclusive resorts in the world. So one is geared towards family, the other one is geared towards adults, but it's basically the same property in terms of the food, the layout, the service, the quality, the luxury, and the amenities. Now, Cabo doesn't have a Hyatt Zilara, so Ziva is the only option. And sometimes, depending on the city, Ziva is the better hotel, like Cancun. But other times, like in Punta Cana, Zilara is the better property. And side note, if you are looking for an adult-only experience, but you want to book with Hyatt, they do have Breathless as well as Zoetry. But this is all about Ziva. It's a great hotel. It's solid, it's predictable, it's steady. It's one of those that you can book with confidence pretty much every time and know that you're going to walk away with a wonderful experience. I think that's a big positive right there, just the confidence in booking the Ziva brand. Also, its layout. It's a spacious, traditional, all-inclusive layout. Cabo properties are smaller in nature, and the layouts, as you've seen in this video, aren't always the best, but this is a proper all-inclusive layout. The extra space makes the place feel a lot more grand. Also, it separates things, keeps things spread out, which is really important. So the full-size property is great. It makes the property feel complete, and also it gives it an opportunity to have some specialized and unique areas. 2 of my favorite specialized areas were, number 1, the Tequila Cave, which is a tasting room where you can find some really nice, unique, quality tequilas and mezcals from all over Mexico. And number 2 would be the adult-only pool. It's on the other side of the property. It's the perfect reprieve from the general pool, which gets extremely loud and chaotic. I'll talk about that in a second. But it's the perfect prescription for people like me who don't necessarily like all ages hotels, but happen to find themselves staying there. The food was delicious, definitely a positive. For people who might be a bit more discerning with their all-inclusive food, or maybe just looking for something that is better than acceptable, Hyatt Zilara is filled with great dining options. And lastly, and I think most importantly, the price. It's extremely affordable for a Hyatt Ziva. Now, it is going to be on the higher side, I guess, for all-inclusives in general, but compared to Punta Cana and Cancun, this one comes in at pretty much half the price of those. In terms of negatives, I don't have a lot to say. The rooms were forgettable. Nice, but forgettable. When I stayed there, the internet was hellaciously slow. Like 1989, use your phone line, dial-up modem slow. And lastly, this is a big one. This is enough to actually stop you from staying there. It's loud, specifically the pool area. It is jet engine loud. You might as well have your TV on at full volume loud. And this is from morning all the way until sundown. Now this goes for the poolside rooms, but that's a lot of the rooms on property, maybe the majority of them. So if you want to take a nap during the day, get some work done, maybe meditate, do some yoga, maybe just have a little bit of peace and quiet or read a book, you're not going to get that done in your room. It is so loud, you might as well end up going down to the pool anyway, which is what I ultimately did. A wise man once told me you can have it all in life, you just can't have it all at the same time. I think Hyatt Ziva is the perfect example of that. It's a marvelous property. It comes in at number 3. Number 2 is Riu Palace, Baja California, the adult-only palace property at the Riu complex. Like I said, it is a palace property, so you get all the amenities and upgrades that come with that brand. and also adults only. Location, views, value, the stuff I talked about with the other properties, that applies here, but the fun is out of control. This is one of the most fun hotel stays I've ever had. It really is the true embodiment of what you think of when you imagine a Cabo getaway. The crowd is phenomenal. They are warm, they are fun, outgoing, energetic, really kind of familial. And Riu Palace, Baja California has a much different vibe and feel than the other two properties. It's laid back, but more fun, and ironically, much more of a party hotel, but also quieter at the same time. The entire property is designed around the adult experience. Everything from the entertainment, the activities, the drink menu, it's all geared towards adults. The pool design is absolutely perfect. Every single one is just steps away from the sand. And the infinity edges are lengthy. Usually the infinity edge space is very sought after, highly coveted, highly limited, but not here at Riu Palace, Baja California. They are lengthy, and there's enough room and opportunity to dangle over the edge and take in the sights, sounds, and sensations of Cabo San Lucas. Another big positive is the layout. It's so intuitive. You don't even need a map. You can effortlessly and easily just kind of guide yourself to wherever you need to go on property. All the restaurants are in one area, the pools are in one area, the entertainment area is right in the middle of the property. And being so intuitive is really important because your subconscious can relax, which allows for a more enjoyable experience. And finally, for those that love the all-inclusive game and want something adult only and want to have the best time ever, this is your number one option. In terms of negatives, I think that maybe creativity or style is one of them. The pools are very Soviet Union style, rectangular, boxy. Although the layout is intuitive, it's also very militant, just efficient, bare bones. It is what it is. Not a lot of je ne sais quoi at Riu Palace, Baja California. Secondly, nightlife. Getting a drink is no problem. And again, the crowd is a lot of fun. But all of the best stuff, all the stuff is over at Riu Santa Fe. And there really isn't that core or that featured nightlife spot at Riu Palace, Baja California, and there should be, given that it's an adult property and also the party property of the three. And to follow up on that, you do have to walk over the Riu Santa Fe to get access to all that cool stuff. It's a minor inconvenience, but an inconvenience nonetheless. Again, I wish that it had more things in terms of nightlife to call its own. Currently, Riu Palace, Baja California comes in at number 2. And finally, number 1, Hard Rock Los Cabos. Now, I'm not shocked it's at number 1, but I am extremely surprised. Very quickly, the positives. Number 1, the cringy style is gone. The gothic, somewhat steampunk style with the deep purples and really bold turquoises are gone. The color choices now are warmer, classier, brighter, and it really gives off an enhanced sense of comfort and class. The property has this cascading design that effortlessly leads you from point to point. The lobby overlooks the pools. Every pool, although separate, leads into each other. Also, the utilization of space is very noteworthy. They did some creative things, like the beachy pool area that was underneath a building. The secluded location away from everything else, as well as the comfy hammocks, makes it the perfect spot to cool down or just take a break. This property has dexterity. It is a family property, but it's not overcrowded and overrun by families and children. It's just as much for adults as it is for families and children. It's extremely well balanced. Adults will find just as many things dedicated to them as families would. There is that double-decker lounge nightclub, of course the adults only pool, and then the foam party at the general pool, which wasn't adult only, but it doesn't matter because it was a party and it was awesome. The food was great and the venues were as well. Instead of the traditional boxy, cramped, all-inclusive restaurants, these were stylish, swanky, spacious. It's a Hard Rock, so there's no shortage of things to do. There's a complete schedule, almost a catalog of things to do. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed, there is something to do at Hard Rock Los Cabos. There is some sticker shock on the price tag, but Hard Rock delivers for that price. Usually when I pay this much money for an all-inclusive resort, almost always I leave with regret. But this time I left smiling, which is rare in general, and especially rare given it's a Hard Rock. And lastly, it's a lock. You can book it and forget it. No anxiety, no buyer's remorse. It is a guarantee, and there's so much reassurance and comfort in that. Anyone from 8 to 80 can go there and have the best time ever. When it comes to negatives, the price is definitely one of them. Now, the price is justified, and there is even value when you stay here, but still, there is sticker shock, and the price is crazy. I did like the rooms, but I thought they were bland. I upgraded to a junior suite. I loved certain aspects of the room, such as the gigantic bedroom, as well as the bathroom with the multi-dimensional bath shower combo, but the style was dull. There were some really awkward spaces, unneeded areas overall, and just terrible flow and feng shui. And lastly, and this is the biggest one, location. It's all the way at the end of Cabo. It's the furthest property from the airport. A drive to and fro is 60 minutes each way. If you want to go to the city, it's 30 minutes one way, which can be an expensive taxi. There is nothing around this place. So if you're looking for a little bit of diversity, or if you need a market item, or if you want to go to town, it is definitely a chore. If you watched my video, my stay was not perfect, but at this price, I'm not expecting it to be. 99% of my stays have flaws. This is not the St. Regis. This is not the Four Seasons. At this price, I'm not paying for perfection. I think excellence is a great goal, and this hotel definitely delivered on that. The benefits vastly outweigh the negatives. Hard Rock Los Cabos is the spot. It comes in at number 1.